Do you ever struggle when it comes to picking the right agent to fit into the perfect team comp in your rank matches? A lot of people have this problem because the meta is ever changing, and it's hard to keep up with what agent is up or down in the meta and deserves a spot on a team comp for a certain map. Well, today we've got you guys covered. What is going on, ProGuides family? It is your host Sergeant Frost, and today we have the best team comps for every map in Act 2. This list was vetted by recent pro play in the VCT qualifiers, so all info is up to date on the most recent patch. And if you want to be up to date with the meta as a player and playing to the best of your abilities, our Radiant and Immortal level coaches at ProGuides.com are more than happy to teach you the game knowledge and rank secrets. Link is in the description if you're interested, and let's head right into the video. The first map up we're going to talk about is Breeze. The best team comp for this map is Sova, Jett, Viper, Chamber, and KO. This comp for this map seemed to be a meta standard for a few teams, as both Cloud9 and the Guard ran this comp most notably. The main reason for why this comp is good together is because it has strengths that take advantage of Breeze's most notable map features. For instance, Breeze is a very large and open map. It's hard for certain agents to cover a lot of ground on this map as their abilities don't play well in big open spaces. But this comp has agents with tools in their kit that can fare well on more large-ish maps. Viper is great on this map because her wall is the only vision blocking tool in the game that can adequately block vision from enemies on this map's large bomb sites. Regular smokes won't cut it, and Viper's wall is needed. Not to mention that her ultimate is a great tool to secure post plant because it heavily deters defenders from wanting to retake in an open bomb site, with the Viper ult standing in the middle of it. Sova is needed for Breeze because his drone and recon arrow are must-have pieces of info gathering utility on this map. Breeze is a map where you can't just run into a bomb site blindly and hope for the best when entering. The bomb sites are way too big, which gives a lot of room for defenders to hide in and kill you at the last second. You need to sniff them out before running in, and Sova is one of the only agents that can do that consistently. Jett is a standard fast-paced duelist that works well on Breeze. Her dash allows her to close the gap quickly, and her smokes are nice for covering doorways when she wants to get in or out of a site. Not to mention that Jett likes to AWP a lot as an agent, and Breeze is probably the best map to AWP on currently in the game. Speaking of the AWP, that is one of the biggest reasons for why Chamber is a great sentinel for this map. Chamber has 2 trips that cover the long flanks on this map, which is a must-have for the team. He has a TP to allow him to get out of tight situations safely if he ever gets pressed in a bomb site. The main reason for why players love playing Chamber on this map though is because of his AWPing prowess. Whether he has his ultimate or a normal operator, Chamber can have a field day sniping on this map if he hits his shots. And finally, KO is going from an underrated pick on this map to a meta pick on this map. The main reason for why KO is thriving on this map is because of suppression and his flashes. Breeze has a lot of open space inside of the bomb sites, which allows KO to be liberal with where he throws his flashes. He can catch players off guard easy with a well-timed flash in the back of his site and get a quick kill. But the main reason for why some teams are running him is because of his AoE suppression. Viper and Chamber are common defensive site deniers used on this map, which makes it pretty hard to 5-man rush into bomb sites. Popping that KO ultimate though will allow you to take all defensive utility offline with the press of a button, and that is a very powerful tool an attacking or even a defending team can have on a map that's dominated by utility. The map that everyone loves to hate, the Frozen Tundra ICEBOX. We have to admit, this map's agent meta has changed and shifted very little over the episode since 2020. But since its small rework, there's been a lot of experimentation with the meta compositions, so it's hard to point out a specific comp. That's why we'll stick with the basics, and the current best team comp for this map is Viper, Chamber, Killjoy, Sova, and Sage. A notable team that likes to run this team comp is G2. Their squad focuses on going for map control and using these utility-focused agents to influence the map and manipulate the enemy team's traffic with their abilities. First off, pro play has shown that Viper is hands down the best smoker on ICEBOX. Her wall is still a must-have in order to take both A and B site with the least amount of resistance from defenders. ICEBOX is a long map, and her wall is the best tool in the controller class to successfully vision block across the map as a whole. Viper also is notorious for having really good lineups on this map, which makes her post-plant presence a threat to be reckoned with. Sova, as per usual, is a staple on this map because of his drone and recon bolt. His ultimate is nice in post-plant because it allows Sova to play off-site and still contest diffusers from a safe distance. And his shock darts play well on A-site where he can bounce it off walls and hit people around corners. Killjoy is another not so common pick on this map, and that's mainly because a lot of teams feel like they need a Jett, making her the first to get kicked. However, Killjoy is very strong in order to buff up your A-site defenses and make the take for your enemies a much more difficult operation. Leaving a Viper to hold A alone is scary, but together with a Killjoy, both their sets of utility are a lot harder to deal with. Viper won't have to worry about every angle, and Killjoy's utility won't be as straightforward to deal with. Sage, the 4th agent of this comp, is the one that's able to move around a lot. In a way, it's her job to hold mid, but that can also be done by using an alarm bot mid, and a chamber trip in kitchen. Her wall used to be in tube by default, but nowadays, it's a lot more effective to place it mid-deep. You gain a lot more control. And why would you use a wall for a trip's job, when you can also save the wall for a retake or to get a cheeky kill? Chamber is the final pick for this map, and he's the bread and butter of this operation. Since you're lacking a Jet, you really expect your Chamber to do the lion's share of the AWPing as well as aggression. Luckily, his kit is suited for that. On defense, you want your Chamber on B. It makes it so that he can play all kinds of crazy angles, and still have a great escape plan. Essentially, you want your opponents to know, sure you can come B, but you will have to invest some utility to deal with the off angles and potential offs. As a Chamber, you go for an aggressive peek, hold until you've gotten a kill or forced enough util, and then TP out in order to delay for your team to rotate, and perhaps even kill more. Oh, and additionally, Chamber is great for attack in order to play not only the AWP, but also watch flanks with the trip. One of the only maps with a true mid in this game means that certain agents are a must-have in an ASCENT team comp. The meta agents for this map are KO, Killjoy, Omen, Sova, and Jet. Notable teams that like to run this comp are the Guard, Sentinels, and Cloud9. This team comp is one of the safest for this map because it covers all of the bases you need to have covered in order to keep your team from being run over. Let's talk about the most interesting meta pick for this map first, Killjoy. It's no secret Killjoy has been seen less and less in pro play ever since Chamber was introduced, but she still is seen a lot on ASCENT, and there are a couple big reasons why. The first is that Killjoy's ultimate can fully encompass B site if you place it in the far left corner of B main, which is huge for attacking teams that are trying to take B aggressively. The second big reason is because Killjoy's turret, mollies, and nanobot combo is too hard to deal with when anchoring sites. If you have a smart Killjoy player that knows how to set up a site and keep enemies on their feet, it will be really hard for them to take a site without a KO or without taking heavy casualties in the process. The other big meta pick for this map is KO. The main reason he's becoming meta is because, as you guessed it, his suppression. ASCENT has smaller-ish bomb site areas for a Valorant map, which plays well with KO's knife because if it's well placed, it will be able to see everybody and anybody inside of a site. That's great info to have for an attacking team that's looking to rush in. Also, KO's molly is nice for clearing all the cubbies, deep corners, and boathouses on this map as well. Omen is back to being the meta smoker now that Astra is gone from the meta, and he fills the job well. His shadow step synergizes with this map well as it allows him to get height when he wants to, and creates some nice off angles for him to play during a round. Another thing to note is that he can smoke from across the map, which gives him a lot more faking potential and presence. Sova is another pro meta staple on ASCENT due to his unique ability for information as well as his pick potential. Both sites on ASCENT are fairly open, which means that his recon darts can clear a large part of a site on its own when placed in elevated positions, and his drone is amazing for gathering information for the same reasons. His shock darts are amazing for clearing positions on sites that are harder to clear with manpower as well, and his ultimate can create openings as well to counter KJ ultimates easily. And lastly, you can't have a meta team comp on the OG maps without Jet. Jet's infamous dash into smoke combo to create space on a site is well known and tested strategy for attacking on this map. Good Jet players will quickly smoke dash into a site and hit the door levers to close doors for their teams when attacking. Jet's kit plays well on this map, and she is always a good duelist to have on ASCENT. It's only fitting that the most wacky map to come into Valorant have the most off-the-wall, unmeta yet meta team comp for it. The best agents for this map according to ProPlay is Breach, Viper, Raze, Chamber, and Astra. A few notable teams to run this comp are ASCENT and the Guard. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room for this team comp. There is a reason for why both Astra and Viper are both in this team comp. Viper fulfills the smoking role because her wall is better than smokes for vision blocking, and Astra is here strictly for her CC. Her smokes aren't worth much for vision blocking on this map compared to Viper's wall, but teams are starting to use Astra for her CC abilities and her ultimate wall. Many teams have strats with pre-placed stars when attacking where they can activate select CC to drag a player out or stun a defender when they know they're hiding in a common hiding spot. This combo sounds wacky on paper, but in practice it actually works out well when it's practiced. Next up, Raze is the meta duelist for this map, mainly because her boombot is great for info gathering and clearing out all the perpendicular corners around this map. Sending her boombot through A main, satellite, or ropes is also a must, so that way you won't die an avoidable death around a corner. Her grenade and ultimate are also tools that are used to put damage around corners and behind boxes that defenders are like to hide behind when attacking. Raze also has a lot of utility in her kit to displace enemies and scout them out at the same time, and that's why she's more valuable than Flash duelists on this map. Breach is an unmeta Valorant pick, yet he is still a meta Fracture pick, and that's because Breach's AoE CC utility is unmatched when attacking and defending. You can stun an entire bomb site with a well-placed ultimate, and on defense you can stun an attacking team in their tracks if you time and position your ultimate and fault line well. Not to mention that his flashes pair well with the non-90 degree corners that are placed around the map, that help you flash people that you wouldn't expect to be flashed. Chamber is a meta sentinel pick on this map since KJ was booted from the map's meta. After Breach became her counter, Chamber's trips became way more reliable flank watch and sight denial tools in the meta. Now let's move on to Bind. The map with no mid has had a host of different meta team comps, but this one proves to be the most stable in pro play. The team comp goes Brimstone, Raze, Viper, Chamber, and Skye. A notable pro team that runs this team comp is Optic Gaming, as they recently beat the Guard 13-4 on this map in the main event finals. Viper in pro play has a unique role because she often takes on a lurker's role on attacker side more often than a straight up execute style controller. Her wall is very strong for sectioning parts of the map off for control, and it denies vision from the opposing team very well. On defense, she has a unique ability to extend her wall to cover multiple entrances or positions that otherwise require separate smokes, and this lets her function very well as a side anchor and supportive playmaker for her team. While Brimstone does pick up the load of smoking when attacking on this map, Viper is still very useful for her post-plant molly lineups and ultimate for post-plant security. Skye is another not so common pick on this map, and that's because she does a few things that Sova can't as an initiator for a team on this map. Most importantly, Skye can put flashes around corners and behind walls, and that is a nice tool to have on bind. She can also AoE heal after skirmishes, and her ultimate is great info, especially when numbers are relatively low. Brimstone is great on bind, and that's mainly because of his stim pack, especially since the map is small enough for his small range not to be a problem. On top of that, he can place 3 smokes at once and the other controllers can't. A-site bind is unique because it has a large plant space for a bomb site in Valorant. Brim having 3 smokes is great because it allows him more options for executes, especially on A. Brim's ultimate is also very useful for clearing out U-Haul and Hookah in an instant as well. Chamber is a key part of Bind's meta because his AWP allows him to hold the exterior areas of bomb sites like B-Long and Showers really well against attackers. And the neat Bind TP trick that allows him to move between sites instantly makes him a great rotator. Lastly, Raze is the second meta duelist pros like to run on this map. She's mainly featured on Bind because of her boombot lineups that can clear out Hookah and the front part of bomb sites as well. And her blast pack jumps allow her to clear defenders and jump straight into the backlines when attacking quickly and efficiently. Haven's meta can go a lot of different ways. There are several team comp variations that are meta on this map, as players have pocket picks that they bring out to help them play well on this map. And that team comp is Breach, Jett, Omen, Skye, and Chamber. A notable team to run this comp is the Guard. This weekend, Skye was putting in work for a few teams, most notably because her flashes are pliable and they can be put right behind cover in the back of bomb sites. And her ultimate is a great scouting tool to sniff out defenders when attacking. Breach is great on Haven because you can ult the entirety of bomb sites on the map, and his fault line allows him to stun Garage and take it quickly with his team. His flashes are also good on Haven because there are spots where you can flash and you won't blind your teammates. Jett is at home on Haven because her dash in the smoke strategy works well on all the bomb sites in this map, as they all have fairly small plant spaces for her to get into. And her controllable smokes work well when attacking, as she can smoke off angles that players typically hide in when defending. A couple of notable spots are logs on C site, under heaven on A site, etc. Chamber is needed on Haven because his trips allow him to play off bomb sites while still having info inside of the site. And his teleport makes his rotates much quicker, which is needed on a wide map like Haven that is notorious for long rotates. Lastly, Omen is the meta smoker for this map, and the reason he's better than Brimstone is because Omen can throw his smokes long distances, and since their travel speed got buffed, they will arrive much faster than they used to in the past. And last but not least, we have everyone's favorite micro-sized map, Split. The meta comp for this map is Viper, Raze, Omen, KO, and Sage. A notable team to run this team comp is Fnatic. So let's talk about Viper first. Unlike when she's on maps like Breeze, Viper isn't used as a straight-up controller, but more as a Sentinel controller hybrid. Her wall is great for creating powerful lurk setups on attacker side, and on defense she can also manage a large part of the map with her setups alone. This makes her very strong as an all-arounder, and she can still use her wall for an execute if necessary. Omen is used alongside Viper for vision blocking on Split. He can precisely place smokes in areas of the map where Viper's wall can't reach or effectively block vision for. His mobility also plays really well on Split because his shadow step gives him verticality, and his ultimate is nice for quick rotates around the map. Raze is a meta duelist on this map mainly because her boombot can clear hard to reach places on Split that are too dangerous to face check. For instance, some of those spaces are mid, A ramps, behind box on B site, etc. Sage is a common pick on this map because her wall gives teams instant map control both when it's used on offense and defense. Sage's other utility in her heals and res also provide good round insurance for a team in case they take heavy casualties around the map. And lastly, KO is becoming a meta pick on this map for the same reason he is on ASCENT. This map's smaller size means his AoE suppression from his ultimate and knife cover a lot more ground on this map. It's easy to see everyone inside of B site with his knife if you know exactly where to place it on the dot with the lineup. Not to mention his close range flashes make swinging corners a breeze, and his molly clears out close corners and cubbies easily. Well guys, that's gonna wrap it up for our best team comps for each map. Hopefully you enjoyed the guide and can use it to better your play in ranked. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. If you want more tips to become an even better player, make sure to check out ProGuides.com. This has been your host, Sergeant Frost, and I'll see you all again in the next one.